Today's scripture passage comes from Matthew's Gospel, the 14th chapter. If you get a chance, you should read it. And what it says, it tells us a very familiar story when Christ has sent his apostles across a lake, and on their journey across the lake, they run into a storm, and they look up, and here they see Christ walking on the water, and they are in confusion, yell out, "Oh, it must be a ghost." Remarkable thing how often they confuse Christ for anything but who he is. In any event, he says to them, "No, don't be afraid, it is I." Peter, good old Peter, says, "Lord, call me to you." And Christ responds, "Come." And Peter gets out of the boat and walks towards Christ. And the storms was tossing and turning and choppy. And Peter looks down, takes his eye off Christ, and begins to sink. And then in panic, he yells out, "Christ, save me." Jesus reaches out his hand, pulls him up. Oh, ye with such little faith. You know, Peter had enough courage to get out of the boat. I think that's what all of us need to do, is to get into that choppy water. And I'm going to tell you a story, a true story, about my experience of getting out of the boat and panicking and forgetting who Jesus was. You see, I suffer from depression. And in my depressive years, which was while I was a deacon, but maybe 15 years ago, I was in a moment where there was a trigger that caused my depression to come full force at me, and everything was terrible. I don't know if any of you suffer from depression, but it is heavy. Every breath is difficult. Every second is like a sledgehammer that hits over and over and over again. And all that you can think of is, I just don't want to feel like this anymore. I was there. It was about 2:00 in the morning, and I was in deep, deep depression. My wife was asleep, and I didn't awaken her. For people who don't suffer from depression, the most difficult thing for them to realize is there's nothing they can say to help. So I didn't awaken her, but as Elijah said in the desert, "I'm done. Take my life, Lord. I'm finished." When I had finally given up and surrendered to the pain, I suddenly saw myself in prayer. It wasn't me, but it was an emoji, I don't know, another me in prayer, and there was a light shining on that me. And I just watched, and then came a voice, a feeling that said to me, "What you worry about is so small. Here is my love." And for a nanosecond, I felt the love of God. And in that moment, every concern I had, every anxiety, every anxious moment, every deep depression was gone. And I immediately went to sleep. When I awakened the next morning, nothing had changed. The thing that had caused me to go into depression remained the same. But I changed. I was able to see that compared to the love of God, every single thing that we worry about is so small. What we have in store for us is so indescribable that I can't tell you how it feels. I can tell you how I responded to how it felt. The depression was gone. Yet God did say, "You need to go see someone." And so I did. And I've been on medication for years. See, when I reached out, God showed me He will never abandon me. He will always love me. And that's worth more than anything and more valuable than anything and overcomes everything. So I'm able to get up in the morning and say, oh Lord, what are we going to do today?